Yankee, we stand by the working people. If you were injured on the job and feel like no one has your back, we do. Give us a call. It's more to us. It's personal.
A classic holiday tradition continues. Local 3 welcomes back Ice on the Landing to the First Horizon Pavilion. Skate now through February 2nd. Ice on the Landing, presented by Warren and Griffin. Check hours and book your tickets at iceonthelanding.com.
There's going to be a lot of talk the next few weeks about watching what we eat. Nutritionist Pamela Kelle says that's actually a great idea, but not in the way you probably would think. She says rather than restricting the foods you eat at any time of the year, especially during the holidays, savor them and watch as you eat for a more intentional experience. Good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you too.
This is not a new conversation that the two of us are having. We've had this before.
We have.
But the tried and true always last.
It does always last. And, you know, this time of year, there's lots of gimmicks about cutting out carbohydrates or cutting out fats or cutting out all of the things that develop fear in the mind about, like, you shouldn't do this to keep from gaining all the weight.
Right.
When the fact of the matter is, it's not so much what you eat, it's how you eat it.
I think sometimes too, I'll jump ahead, but pausing to think about what went into the foods you're going to enjoy, especially during the celebratory time of the year. Once upon a time, there were not grocery stores on every street corner.
Right.
So you were really thankful and appreciative of the foods you had.
I like that you said that because, you know, some families grew up saying a grace or a prayer before a meal. And even if you don't want to do that, you can take a moment to look at the food that's in front of you. Just take a breath. Take a moment, and instead of judging it or being afraid of it or thinking it's too much, too many calories, too many whatevers, to think, I'm so grateful that I get to have this food.
Right.
You know?
Okay, so let me add, I know you have a plate full of some yummy things, each bringing their own joy.
Yes.
That we'll talk about. But let's say that you are somebody watching today and maybe weight is a concern for you.
Right.
And you're going to go into the holiday season probably with some fear.
Right.
Is it true, Pam, that if you eat a little more slowly, you tend to eat less?
It is true. And isn't it sad to think that this season of sharing and love and gratitude and all of the things that this whole entire season, from now till January actually, is supposed to be about, that it ends up being like, oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. Are they going to judge me if I eat this because I'm in a larger body?
Right.
Should I just eat half portions or whatever?
Well, I love to. It's also a time, I mean, I've been battling kind of a little bit of a sickness for a few days. If you put too much sugar into you, that lowers your immune system too.
It
so
does.
For all of us, it's better to put those natural sugars in place versus the
That's
manufactured.
true. And then when you do have them, like, you know, my mother's passed away, but she used to make the most amazing fudge. And I cannot imagine any world I would live in where I would not enjoy my mother's fudge. You know, am I going to eat it every day? Am I going to eat a plate of it? No, but I'm going to savor it and appreciate it and enjoy it. And in fact, those food memories we have too of like apple pie or mashed potatoes, whatever it might be, can be a wonderful thing.
Sometimes too, it's the aromas, the sense of smell, they say, is your most memory triggering.
It is.
So maybe you love to bake during the season and have your house filled with that smell of the fudge.
Right.
Give it away.
Give it away. You can give it to neighbors. I mean, they make wonderful gifts if you want to do that. But the point of like seeing and smelling and savoring food, we think so much in our head, and you think, of course we do, it's our head, but actually our body has its own voice too, and we literally, if we learn to pay attention, can understand what hunger is, what cravings are, and when we're satisfied or no longer hungry. And it might mean that you put less food on your plate if the event that you're going to go to or the food you're preparing, if you take a little bit of everything, it's a huge plate full. Pick out the things you really enjoy and like and want, and then eat them slowly and savor them, and then listen to that sense of fullness, like, you know, I'm no longer hungry. This is great, but I'm going to save the rest for later. It's okay to do that.
What about the philosophy, okay, like on this plate that you have here, she's got some seasonal fruits, some red grapes and some blueberries. I'll tip it a little bit. And then you can see the truffles and the M&Ms.
Yes.
They happen to be from a movie Pam went to see, and the cookies. So you could even take a little bit of all that, could you not, Pam?
You could, and you could eat it bite by bite. And if you are eating slowly, to your point about getting fuller quicker when you eat slow, that really savor each bite, you wouldn't want to eat this whole plate of food. You wouldn't want to. It'd be
What
too much.
about vocabulary? Rather than saying, oh, I'm not going to eat,
Right.
instead saying, I'm going to include.
I'm going to include. I love that. I think that's a very good way to look at it. And to say, you know, for instance, my husband is a cookie monster, so these cookies, he would rather have these cookies than anything, you know? So, but to say, oh, I love cookies, but I eat them all the time, I think instead I'm going to have some M&Ms, which I don't have all the time, or the truffle. I don't eat those very often, so that's what I want to enjoy today.
Right.
So the key in mindfulness, and that's what we're talking about really, is being present on purpose and think about what your body has to say. Like maybe sugar's not a good idea if you don't feel well.
Right.
Maybe too much makes your stomach hurt. But if you're just thinking, you know, with your eyes or your head, you might eat more than you plan to because it's there.
Conversations with Pam Kelle always go by way too quickly, but I've known her for years, and we see each other off and on throughout the year, and I always consider you one of the most calming, encouraging people I've ever known.
Oh.
Someone has a crush on me.
What's the opposite of rose-colored glasses? I'm seeing the staff through turd goggles.
St. Dennis Medical, tonight on NBC and Peacock.
Pretty sexy. Oh, God.
I'm wildly underpaid for the amount of naked people I tackle.
Night Court, tonight on NBC and Peacock.
Lowe's knows Big Black Friday deals start early, online only this Thanksgiving Day. And My Lowe's